Welcome to Josh's House of Nerd podcast.
Hello, Nerd Nation. I'm Josh, and I welcome you to the podcast. Grab a cold evergreen goblet of blue milk and make yourself comfortable here at my House of Nerd. Now, today on the podcast, because I don't have a sponsor today, we are on the topic for the month, which is movies from plays. And today we're talking about John's pick, the 2010 movie Hamlet, starring Patrick Stewart.
Macbeth.
I watched Hamlet.
No.
I watched Hamlet. It was Macbeth.
No.
You're telling me no? I watched the other one.
I didn't even know there was a 2010 Hamlet.
There's a 2000 Hamlet with Patrick Stewart and David Tennant.
Well,
wasn't the other one with Patrick Stewart?
Yeah.
yes.
That's where I was looking for. I was looking for Shakespeare with Patrick Stewart.
I'll I guess this episode will be mostly John and I.
Yeah.
Don't cut this out.
No, I won't. I usually leave all this dumb crap in. Oh, that's a flub on mine. I watched almost all of Hamlet by Patrick Stewart and David. It's 3 hours long.
Oof.
It's okay. Macbeth is 2.5.
2.5, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I only watched 2 and a little of Hamlet. Oh, what did you guys think of this movie?
So first of
Because
all,
I don't really have a lot of comments now.
did you figure out? I mean, there's not really any clues, but who did you think I played? Because I picked all of my picks, if you remember, were from plays that I had a role in.
Yes, I remember.
Yeah, you were Macbeth.
No, I was not actually.
Oh.
This is one of the few plays that I did not actually get the lead. I played Macduff.
Okay.
So I was only in a third of the play towards the end.
Right. Yep.
So, but I was Macduff, and it was one of the few plays where I played a protagonist role. Most of my other plays, I was always in the antagonist role, or adjacent to. So,
Okay.
but yeah. So you said I picked a hard one, and I know I did, because this film it's a film for sure, but at the same time, all the dialogue is lifted straight from the Shakespeare play. Like it is not I don't know if adaptation is the right word. It's a visual adaptation, sure. And the setting has been changed, but none of the dialogue has really been modified from the screenplay.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I was noticing. Is like, okay, the updated context, 21st century dictator, authoritarian regime, and that type of thing. But then the text doesn't update along with it, and that makes things a little difficult, I think.
Well, exactly, especially when they're calling him, the Thane. So it feels like it's set in like a Eastern European country.
Mm-hmm.
But yet they're referring to Scotland, they're referring to parts of Scotland, really.
Right.
And so it was a little interesting. I didn't catch that the first time I watched it. I don't know how vested I was the first time I watched it, to be honest. But this really is a film that it's the visual adaptation where they spent the time. They're like, well, we already got the dialogue, we'll just stick with that, and ran with it. It's like, we're not going to try to teach Patrick Stewart new dialogue. And maybe that's the whole reason why. I don't know. But it's a massive visual change from the actual story. So I guess it's better question to ask, what did you actually like about it?
The three nurses was an interesting update. I think I kind of think it worked in a very like Silent Hill kind of way. And they were as wild as those parts are in the play, and as wild as they are in this movie, it was interesting to see them in kind of a the nurse's context.
Yeah, no, I agree. I really liked the where they give him the visions.
Mm-hmm.
Where the double toil and trouble, like that whole, like they stylized that thing really crazily. Like
Yeah,
like you said, it was very Silent Hill esque.
yeah. I think the whole movie has this cold stone and industrial like kind of undertone to it that, I mean, it's not, you know, it's not hearth and warmth in the setting. And that is, it's kind of interesting. I think it might tunnel into Macbeth's like very, I don't know. I mean, it feels like it's a different, I've only seen Macbeth a couple of times, and this seems so much colder in context than the other versions I've seen before.
So do you think it has to do, because one thing I've noticed with this is the sets. The sets are so sparse.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like it's rock, it's stone, it's metal doors, it's uh, you know,
Gray
plastic.
sandwiches.
Yeah, plastic sheeting. It's uh, yeah, it's very utilitarian.
Yep.
Of course, that does bring across the entire, I guess, you know,
Authoritarian
yeah,
regime.
authoritarian 21st century dictator type idea that they're going for with the visual design.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I think it maps onto it. It's just there's key moments in it feels like that were in the play that you're just like, I'm pretty sure the guy was shot, not slit. His throat wasn't slit. It's like the way they say things doesn't match up with what actually happened in the previous thing, and which is fine, I guess.
Mhm.
It's more of an. It feels like it's more of an art piece than like a cohesive visual narrative.
Yeah, I agree. Like there's a couple parts, and then there's things that just don't. I don't know if it's the. I don't think it's the acting so much as like the visual choices. My one of my the scenes that kind of stuck out to me that you're mentioning, where it just didn't feel right, was the sandwich scene when he's talking to the people that are going to go kill Banquo.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's supposed to be this cloak and dagger type thing, and he's making a sandwich, and they're just like munching on sandwiches together, and
Yeah.
he's like, I need you to go, you're gonna go kill Banquo, and here's a sandwich. And I was just like, what? Like,
Yeah.
I don't imagine this in the play being that.
I just, yeah, I don't know what that's supposed to symbolize. Like it's supposed to make it trivial. Like a sandwich making seems like a trivial thing, so it's supposed to make this cloak and dagger conversation feel
Trivial.
trivial. But I don't know. I'm not up on Macbeth and Shakespeare enough to be able to contextually like tear it apart and go, well, it has a deeper meaning here. It's like I'm not really. That's
Yeah,
not
and
really my.
I really wonder if there's parts of this film that are like that,
Mm,
that we're just not catching because we're not Shakespeareans,
yeah,
We're,
it's
we're
certainly possible.
not big buffs here. One of the scenes that kind of is interesting is the Banquo at the feast sing, when he comes
Okay.
in all bloody,
Yeah.
and the wife's reaction to that whole thing, and him losing his mind. Like that scene is super interesting, but there's things that you don't catch, that if you don't know the play, you might
Yeah.
not catch. Like, for example, nobody else can see Banquo but him.
Right.
And the film doesn't make that super clear at first, just because he interacts with the scenery and interacts with, things around him.
Yep.
Um, and I think that was like a visual choice. And I think that's what it feels like. It feels like the visual choices, I would say, 50 to maybe 70% of the time kind of fell a little flat or just wrong. It just didn't quite line up.
Well, interestingly, it actually now that you say it, it actually reminds me of a conversation we had around Oculus, where I was saying that certain pieces didn't feel like they were dreamlike, or didn't feel like it felt like it was like real instead of, as opposed to not real. Um, and that I get that impression too, especially with that banquet scene. It's like, okay, at first he's really here, and then of course, you get the idea later on that he's not. And of course, I think that's the thing, is like this might be like maybe this is really, I don't know for sure, but it feels like this would be really celebrated with people who know the play really well.
Hmm.
Because it's like another take on the same, there's a recontextualization of an really old play in a newer, more modern setting. And maybe if you know the play really well, like it's your favorite play or something like that, and you just know it, you've seen it hundreds of times, this recontextualization could like reinvigorate your
Hmm.
love of the play, or that type of thing. But like for just a casual coming in like I am, nah, it's not really. I'm like,
No.
okay, I'm following this as best I can, but it is
It's rough,
not
yeah.
easy. I feel like I'm back in English class in high school trying to figure out,
Well, and it doesn't
where.
help that the
Yeah,
dialogue is soft.
yeah. I'm sure the performances are great. They seem like they're great, but since I can't connect with the characters as easily because
Hmm.
I'm caught up in the language of it, that honestly, what they're doing with the setting and the sets is kind of almost background. Like every once in a while, I'm going, "Oh, this is a really I kind of get where they're coming from with the setting they're putting together, but I'm not exactly sure. Like I'm trying to follow the dialogue again because it's been so long since I've seen the play that I'm like, yeah, what is this about again? And it's like this is the worst version to come into if you don't know Macbeth
Know
because
the
it's just
play
like,
already. Yeah.
yeah, if you don't know the play already, you're like, okay, what is going on? Like more than half time, I'm going, okay, hang on, what happened here? And it's long. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a long show.
I I watched this back before I got married, so it would have been 2011, maybe 2012, early 2012. And I remembered a lot. Maybe it's just because I was more familiar with the play at the time. But I had a lot more fond memories of it than I do on a rewatch
Mm,
and watching it again. Like I really enjoyed Patrick Stewart's performance. Banquo is fantastic. Macduff is okay. Macbeth's wife like does a really good job. One of my favorite scenes is where I think it's maybe they're getting ready for the banquet, but Macbeth is like, up in her face, like up behind her, whispering in her ear
mm-hmm.
type deal. And then he comes back, it's like, you will accompany me, and puts his hand out there. And like the whole power play and hesitancy, like she plays that so well. And it's like a
Yeah,
powerful scene.
Kate Fleetwood did amazing, it seems. I was just trying to keep up with the what's
Exactly.
happening, the plot, while also, contextualizing the environment and then trying to figure out, trying to follow the performances. It's like
Exactly.
it's a lot of cognitive load to take on if you're not ready for it.
Yeah, and I think this movie goes well with the people who know the play or are familiar with it
Yeah,
enough to where they don't have to take the cognitive load of figuring out what's going on and instead can enjoy the visuals.
right.
Because the visuals, I think, are really neat. I mean, there's some really cool scene. There's some cinematography I really like. When he's crowned king, they have the dark kind of outline, and then they have a big red kind of picture of
Mhm.
him, as very similar Soviet Russia style.
Yeah.
Some really cool cinematography in there. But if you have the cognitive load of trying to figure out what the crap's going on, you can't focus on that cinematography. You can't focus on the visuals, and then that makes it fall flat, I think. And I can see
I
why it didn't necessarily do as well as hoped.
mm, gotcha. I don't know how well it did. Yeah, I think it was kind of made for TV.
It feels that way.
I thought it's made for PBS's great performances. I don't think
I didn't
it
realize it was
wasn't
for
made for
TV.
the yeah, it wasn't
Yeah,
really made for cinema. Like it probably was released in cinema somewhere, but I
yeah, it
think it was
wasn't
made, yeah, it was a PBS
for
thing.
PBS. I didn't even know that.
Yeah. It's a
I
TV
wonder.
series, great performances of a TV series, and this Macbeth was made for that, which is fine.
Yeah, I didn't even realize that, or else I might not have chosen it. But yeah, I didn't even know that.
It's
So that
okay.
makes a lot more sense.
Made for TV movies are still movies.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So what did you think of Macduff's acting? I do have to bring this up, like because
Okay.
it's my role.
I thought it was fine. I don't know. I don't really have anything to compare it to. So,
Okay.
what do you think of it? Having
I
played
I
the
don't know.
role,
Like it didn't feel like he was
did you
fighting
play it
against a
like him?
tyrant. No. I played it. I this was back in high school, so I can't even remember how
Sure.
I played it. But to me, it didn't feel like he had the power of the whole idea of fighting a tyrant behind him. Like it just didn't feel that
Right.
way. And then there's real regret, and I don't know that he showed real regret after killing Macbeth. Because he wants Macbeth to yield. He wants Macbeth
Right.
to give up because he respects him and all that. But there's real regret there, or should be, when he has to kill Macbeth, and I didn't feel that. So, but that's me picking apart a role I did.
Yeah, that you've done. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So,
All right.
but like I said, it's a hard film. I don't know that if given the chance, I don't know that I'd pick this one again.
Okay.
Just because it's been so long since I watched it, I had a lot fonder memories of what it turned out to be, I guess.
So this is kind of like your Santa Claus the movie type
No,
thing?
no, I'm not gonna admit that.
No. So, do you think you would have rather of us done The Importance of Being Earnest or Arsenic and Old Lace?
I absolutely. I think Arsenic and Old Lace would have been the best one out of all
Okay.
of them. Because mainly because of Boris Karloff's performance in it.
All right.
It's just fantastic. So, yeah, I regret making that title as tantalizing, I guess, as
Right.
possible. And I didn't mean to. Like, I really wanted Arsenic
right.
and Old Lace, and I thought I made Arsenic and Old
It
Lace's
definitely
title.
felt like that was the one you wanted us to pick. I mean, it was really hard to get away from.
Yeah,
that.
what was it? It was
I don't remember.
19.
What
It was 1940s Tinder with a twist.
Yeah. I don't think we're as interested in Tinder as you think we are.
Well, in Josh's case, I'd hope not.
I hope not
I don't know.
either.
Look, but don't swipe, I guess.
Yeah. What is it? Always, if you swipe right, if you want the person, so always swipe left. Is that what I'm supposed to do?
But yeah, no, I think either of those would have been good. The Importance of Being Earnest is pretty dang funny at times. So
Mhm.
either of those, I really wish we would have chosen over Macbeth 2010. There are
I
some
find
cool
it
things.
a trend
But
that we do that a lot. It's like the number 3 on our list, like gets picked a lot. It's like we do like 2 that we really want, and then there's like a third one. They're like, it'll be all right. And it seems like that's the one that gets picked a lot. I mean, even my own picks, that's happened quite a few times.
yeah,
Well,
I try to make sure all my picks are good.
I'm excited for my picks tonight. So
I'm not saying they're
Okay.
bad. I'm just saying it's always like the number, the lower one on the list of the 3 that we probably want to watch. You
Mhm.
know, yeah.
Well, that's kind of all I have. I mean, there's not tons to really talk about of it.
do you want to do ratings?
Yeah, sure. I'd watch this with my mom just to see her reaction on the nurses when they're giving him the visions. Like that
All right.
whole scene of like bonkersness. Like I just want
Yep.
to see her reaction.
All right. I'll do 5 out of 10, which probably would be a higher rating if I knew the. I
Play.
feel like it would be a high rating if I knew the play better. So
Okay.
I gave Hamlet 2010 a 5 out of 10 people going mad.
okay.
Now I kind of want to go watch that version with Tennant and Patrick
You
Stewart.
know what? I
It
actually
did-
really enjoyed the very beginning of it, and then it just kind of started to
It's
drone
Hamlet.
on a bit.
Yeah, it's Hamlet.
Yeah.
You know, I really enjoyed the parts. You know, like when they introduced Patrick Stewart as he plays 2 parts in it. He plays the uncle, and he plays the king of Hamlet's father. And you know, up to the part where Hamlet was like, he got introduced and he got talked to by his father, which is about a third of way through the movie. Like I was like, hey, this isn't too bad. And then it just started to drone on. And I know the purpose of it. I know the background of the story. You know, I get it. I know what's happening. But it was just like too much. It was just too much of Hamlet going crazy in a room, acted by David Tennant, who I love. I love David Tennant. But
Yeah. I would much rather watch Macbeth over Hamlet out of Shakespeare's plays, and I'd much rather watch his comedies and enjoy his comedic plays more than I would his dramas
Okay.
and something
That's
along
fair.
those lines. So
Like one of
Okay.
my favorites is like my wife loves Much Ado About Nothing, any version pretty much, and I actually didn't mind, the old Taming of the Shrew.
Hmm.
That one's not too bad. With Elizabeth, not Elizabeth, Taylor. Elizabeth Taylor. There we go.
Yep.
I really like that one. That's one of the few ones I actually did enjoy.
But
Anyways, all right. So
we have
go to the
Crit's picks, and then
we'll
we
talk about
announce-
next month's topic so that I can pick some picks next week.
Yep.
Okay.
So, all right.
We ready?
Yeah, let's do it, man.
All right. First one. Hannibal the Cannibal and Lawrence of Arabia tackle dynasty.
Okay.
Number 2. Pumbaa's Timon and Aladdin's genie attempt to fool everyone.
Oh,
And
I have a feeling I know what that one is.
Number 3. 1970s Superman and Batman's Alfred team up to wrestle with chaos.
I like the Pumbaa and Timon one.
Do you know what movie it is?
No, I don't.
It's actually a pretty good movie. I'm okay with that one.
Okay.
All
let's do
right.
that one.
Yeah, I think I know what it is. Let's see if I really did.
Okay, so number 1, Hannibal the Cannibal and Lawrence of Arabia tackle dynasty. That's The Lion in Winter with Anthony Hopkins and Peter O'Toole.
I've never seen that one. I've heard of it.
It's great. I like watching it a lot. All right, and number 3, which I kind of hoped you'd pick, but you didn't, so I didn't put the bait on quite hard enough. 1970s Superman and Batman's Alfred team up to wrestle with chaos is Noises Off with Christopher Reeve and Michael Caine and
Oh.
Carol Burnett and a whole bunch of other people. Like, you guys really missed out. That would have been so much fun. All right, so the one you picked, which I still like a lot, is Pumbaa's Timon and Aladdin's genie attempt to fool everyone is The Birdcage.
I knew it was
Nathan
Birdcage.
Lane
I
and
knew
Robin
it.
Williams. Yeah,
I knew it was Birdcage.
Okay.
I'll try to get Noises Off in some other time.
So that was
All right.
a play at one point. That doesn't shock me. And stuff. I've seen it.
Gene Hackman. Yeah.
I'd really like. Have you seen it, John?
No, I haven't.
I'm really interested to see what you think about it.
Yeah.
And stuff. I'm not
looks
going to say any.
interesting.
I'm not going to tell you anything about what I think about it, but I'm really be interested from your take of it. So, anyways, especially if you don't know anything about it.
So, are you ready for my genre pick?
Yeah. So
let me tell you my 2 failed genres. So I've iterated through a few different genres here.
Okay.
My first failed genre that we're not going to do, but I kind of thought about, was movies that didn't age well. And I could only think of one.
That would be
And
a
that
tough
was
one.
Hackers.
Come on now. Don't even be like that. Hackers is great.
And then movies that feature predominantly the color red. And
That would be a tough one too.
that would have been a really, really tough
I actually
one.
would have preferred the first one because I can think of quite a few movies that haven't
Didn't
aged
age
well.
Well, maybe we'll have to have that genre come back then. Maybe it wasn't as failed as I thought about it.
Movies that I mean, Santa Claus the movie. I thought that was great. It did not age well. I can actually think of about 2 or 3 others off the top of my head.
I can think about just about anything from the 50s and 60s with, blatant racism would probably not age well.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff from the 80s.
Yeah, a lot
Or
of stuff from the 80s.
And then the last failed one, which might not be as failed as I thought, but movies where the stuntman definitely died.
Like reportedly died, or just we think they died?
We just think they died.
Okay.
So, okay, but the genre I did pick is a little more vanilla, but I really thought about it, and I really think there's a lot there we could do if we're a little creative with it. Is espionage movies.
Oh, I love espionage movies.
So it could be spy movies, could be corporate espionage, doesn't matter. Just espionage in some way, shape, or form. It has to be present.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, I like that
genre.
genre.
Yep.
So
Espionage it is, man.
Bring on the heist movies, I guess.
Basically, after the freaking Matrix,
Son
Yeah.
of a bitch.
I'm still pissed off now that it's a heist movie under the hood.
So, what was the exact topic you said? You said espionage, right?
Espionage. Yeah.
All right.
That's
so we're
awesome.
watching the Birdcage and getting ready for espionage.
Again, I am sorry. I missed the right movie. It sounds like I'm not that sorry. But I'm kind of sorry that I watched the movie that I did. Actually, it wasn't that bad. But anyways, I appreciate you guys being on here. And I really look forward to hearing about Birdcage from everybody. And I'll bring you guys some picks on espionage next week. And
All right.
stuff. And I appreciate you all being here. And to everybody out there listening, thank you for supporting us and joining our channel, or watching our channel, I should say. And as always, may you be excellent to each other and live long and prosper. From all of us here at Josh's House of Nerd. Have a good night.
Thanks for watching. For more nerdy awesomeness, please like and subscribe and check